On today's show, Bella's dream reveals an issue she's been working on for years, and it turns out not to be what she thought it was. Stay tuned to find out. Welcome to the Dream Interpretation Podcast with Michael and Sandy.
Hi.
This is another half hour of us eavesdropping on the very personal communication between the spirit world and heroes on their journey, because that's what a dreamer is, a hero on a journey. And that's why I focus on dreams. If you want to know what you're meant to be doing right now at this very moment in time, then look no further than your dreams. Through analyzing your dreams, I reveal your potential and the obstacles you need to overcome. I'm very specific. I tell you the superpower that you have, or that you might have, what would make you magnificent, and the bumps in life that are holding you back. These bumps are not in the way, they are the way. To get your dream analyzed on our show, go to dream-analysis.com/podcast and fill in the form there if there's a form, or just email us to the email address that's at that location. That's it. That's all you have to do. So Sandy, we just came back from a terrific weekend with Ann Tucker.
Yeah, it was amazing.
She did some amazing channeling all weekend, and I worked on everybody's dreams throughout the show. It was quite entertaining. And today we're going to look at some of those dreams.
Yeah, I think everybody found it very insightful, the information that you were sharing with them. And I felt like it went really well with all of the healing work that Anne was doing in the channeling. So it was a phenomenal weekend. So thank you, Anne.
One of the things that came up, and we got a lot of feedback from last week's show, the monologue there where I was talking about what's coming and the changes on the planet. And really the way to take it, I rarely focus on it, but the way to take it and look at it is that after this ascension, or whatever word you want to put on it, it's not really a word I use, but it's a word a lot of people use. The people that are left on the planet are going to be using their spiritual gifts. They're going to be aware of why they're here, what their life journey is about, and that using your gifts is part of that journey. I really should have a graphic for this, but there's a great graphic you see going around that shows like shame and guilt at the bottom of the vibration ladder, and love and appreciation up near the top, and a range of emotions in between, like anger and sadness and so on. And our journey here is really to climb that ladder, and we do it through various different means. One of the means is to discover what holds us down, what keeps us on the bottom rungs, and work on those issues. And that's something that Sandy and I really help people with a lot through our courses, helping people heal from what binds them to those bottom rungs. Not necessarily even the bottom rung, depends on where you are. We work with people all the way along, but I really like helping people that are there, getting them started. At some point though in your journey, you have to get into a mode of service. That's where you feel worthy about yourself, and you're using your gifts, whatever your gifts are, to help other people. And that's totally necessary in order to get yourself further up the ladder. Offering your gifts and helping other people. And so it's not just like, oh, wouldn't it be great if I use my gifts? It helps you too. It helps other people for sure. And whatever gift you have it in spades, and you're really good at it, and you could go through your life without ever using it, and it's, from your perspective, it's fine. It seems like. But you need to use your gift in order to raise yourself up the ladder, as well as helping the people that you're going to help. It's just an absolutely necessary component. It's a switch in more into feminine energy, which is definitely at the upper end of it. All right. Any comments on that, Sandy, or do you want to just get straight into dreams?
Oh, I thought that was good, but I'm looking at this dream and I think it's really a good one. So I think we should probably dive into the dream. It's also a little long. So if you're ready, I'm ready to dive in.
Go ahead.
All righty. So this is from Bella. Going to see Ellen, getting on the freeway and driving there. Molly came over with Joe, and we drove the back roads that were much faster. And I said, oh, if I had known you wanted to go this way, I would have shown you an even faster way to get there. One of the roads that we went on was a cement road, and it had a steep drop off at the very top. And it reminded me of a roller coaster. I mentioned I didn't really like heights, but it was fine after I got over the initial top part. Then I was not scared. Joe was asking me about different modalities and how I got into them. He was sitting in front of me on the right side, and Molly was on my left. And I was kind of scratching his back, and I asked Molly, "How did I meet Ellen?" And then I said, "Oh, yes, it was through you." I was saying how I got into Reiki because of my back, and then body talk because my son had mental issues. At this time, we were driving through the city and went through a four-way stop legally. I asked Joe if he remembered that I gave him a Reiki session, and he fell asleep during it. He did not remember that. Then Molly and I were coming back from what felt like a school. There were two sets of stairs side by side. I went up one on the right, which was nearest to me. It had coats piled on it. There was a teal coat and some black coats, and I was walking on them and kind of sinking down in them because they were down coats. The stairs were steep, and they were shorter than the ones that were on the left. There was a set of 8 stairs, then there was a landing, and then they were up again a shorter distance, and then there was a white rope or string across the top that I would have had to climb over to get through. I thought to myself, what was I thinking? I turned around and went back, and as I came down, Nikki pointed behind me and said, "There's some of the security detail." And I said out loud to myself, "I am the security detail." And then I walked up the stairs on the left that were actually more of a ramp and joined Molly. And we walked all the way to the top, and there were a lot of people up there. The floor we were on looked an awful lot like an airport. It was a large open space with tables around the exterior and 2 large openings so people could come in from all directions, and had glass windows all the way around, so it was brightly lit. And that's it. All right, Michael, this has a lot of things in it. I'm really interested to see where you go.
Well, first of all, I often wonder, do people send in dreams with names like Krispy Kreme and what have you in them as a way of getting free advertising? Because it's really so extensive in this dream. Yeah, it seems like a long dream, and it's what we used to call a feature dream when we would do it on the show before. And ironically, you would think people all want short dreams, but people really love the meat that you can get out of a very long dream, because it has lots of detail and nuance in it. So let's have a look at this from the top and see if it matches anything that you expect it's going to be about. So just give us the first little bit, Sandy.
All righty. Going to see Ellen, getting on the freeway and driving there. Molly came over with Joe, and we drove the back roads that were much faster. And I said, "Oh, if I had known you wanted to go this way, I would have shown you an even faster way to get there." One of the roads that we went on was a cement road, and it had a steep drop off at the very top that reminded me of a roller coaster. I mentioned I didn't really like heights, but it was fine after I got over the initial top. Ooh, I like the roller coaster, Michael. This will be fun.
Fun? No, it's not, because it's about her fears, because she doesn't like roller coasters. You couldn't drag her onto a roller coaster. And the cement road and the heights, they're other fears. So this dream straight away tells us that it's about fears in her life. Now, I would normally say roller coasters are about the heart and the freeway's about the heart. But what's interesting here is she says she's going to see Ellen. Now, Ellen is a healer that specializes in body talk. And this dreamer has been going to Ellen for a while and getting good results with her. So this is all about her healing journey. And Molly is also a healer. So again, it's also backs up that it's about her healing journey. Now, what do you have? Whatever your guides have in a dream, and Ellen, because she's a healer, and Molly, because she's a healer, are going to represent guides here. And so the dreamer definitely has a healing ability, but there's a twist. We're going to see a twist. The cement road says that she has digestive system issues. And we see that later on in the dream at the end. But it's not really the primary focus of this dream. The primary part here is that the road or the path she's on in life is scary as heck. And that's really what this is about, like tremendous fear. And she even says, "I'm very afraid of heights." So that's that piece.
Wow, scary. That's good. I would not
Scary
have
is
gotten it.
good. Scary is
No,
good.
no, good that you got that out of the dream, because I wouldn't have gotten that. I would have gone past it, because roller coasters are fun if you ask me, but then I could see the fear
Well,
in them.
actually, there's another part in this that's interesting because the freeway is about the heart, like I said, and the back roads are about going into the past. So she has two ways of dealing with her issue: working on things in the present, working on her heart, or going back and healing issues from the past. And the dream, there's a contrast here, and we'll see it in the next piece. But the dream is saying it's much faster to heal the issue from the past, because taking the back roads is going to get you there much quicker.
Wow. Oh my goodness. That's good. I'm excited. Okay, I'm ready. I'll go to the next part. Then I was not scared. Joe was asking me about the different modalities and how I got into them. He was sitting in front of me on the right side, and Molly was on my left, and I was kind of scratching his back.
Okay, so she has to work on issues around dad. There's a masculine energy issue here for sure. And she has to scratch it, because in the dream, that's what she's doing. And so I asked her, this is really where we got to the nub of the issue for her. Were other people in the car aware that she was scratching Joe's back? And was it kind of like in an intimate way? And it would have to be. If somebody's scratching your back and you don't know them, it would be really weird. So I said, were other people aware of it? Like Molly, her husband, is beside him. Was she aware that this was going on? And she said, no, Molly wasn't. But she had to think about it. It wasn't really like she was covertly scratching his back. And so I said, okay, what was your relationship like with dad? How good was that? And she said, oh, well, all my issues are with mom. And I said, well, explain. And she said, well, mom is really, really controlling. And to such a degree that she had my dad under her thumb and me under her thumb. And so all my issues are with mom. And I said, oh, I get it now. That's why you think you need to work on heart issues and work on issues around mom. But this dream is clearly saying the route to solve your problem, at least the fast route to solve your problem, is working on the issues around dad. And I said, was dad able to support you? And she said, no, mom wouldn't allow it. And I said, okay, well, that's why in the dream that you're covertly trying for this intimacy, because you can't be intimate with dad. You can't have a close relationship with dad because mom won't allow that close relationship. And she said, yeah, so it's all mom. And I said, no. Just because dad has an excuse because he's weak, not really an excuse, but that's his excuse for not standing up for Bella. So really, it's dad's problem that is her big problem. He should have stood up to mom, and that should never be an issue for the child. You shouldn't even have to care that your dad is able to stand up for you and that mom has him under his thumb. It's worse. It's really worse for you that he's there and he's weak. And so this is the big issue, that he didn't stand up for her. And masculine energy is all about feeling safe in the world, feeling like it doesn't matter where I am, the universe has my back. And we get to that space when dad stands up for us, and dad says, it doesn't matter, Bella, whatever you want to do, I'm there for you. Whatever it is, you can take it on. If there's a problem, I'm there for you. And if anybody looks at you sideways, they better hope I don't hear anything about it, because I'm going to beat them up. That's what we want from dad, not the actual physical beating. But we want the understanding that he's going to keep the world safe from us. If anybody looks at us sideways, then he's going to make that a safe environment for me. And it could hurt someone else, but that's their problem. When we don't get that, then we end up in the world feeling like the world isn't safe. And so that's how she is. But there's a twist. So, and the guides, when I was channeling on the dream, they were saying there's a twist here. She doesn't feel that the world isn't safe. She feels that the world is actually safe if you have somebody there for you that can stand up for you. But it's not safe for me, because even though there's somebody for me, they're blocked. I will never find the person that's there for me. And this is huge. Like, it's very specific. And so it's like, okay, that's your issue. And the issue is dad. It doesn't matter that mom is the one that stopped him. The issue is the person who's meant to be there for you wasn't. And that's completely on him. And as a child, that's how we take it. So working on the issues around dad is what she needs to do. All right. What have we got next?
Wow. I'm like blown away how insightful that is. So mom blocked dad from supporting her. And so it's a block. Wow. Intense. Okay. I'm excited to see the next part. All righty. I asked Molly, how did I meet Ellen? And then I said, oh, yes, it was through you. I was saying how I got into Reiki because of my back and then body talk because my son had mental issues. At this time, we were driving through the city and we went through a four-way stop legally. I asked Joe if he remembered that I gave him a Reiki session and he fell asleep during it. He did not remember that.
Okay, so there's a couple of things here. Everybody's a healer, and then she talks about Reiki, but somebody falls asleep while receiving Reiki. That's not good. Falling asleep in a dream is not good. So it means that Reiki is not the path for her. It's because life is about waking up. In fact, waking up in a dream is really a fantastic thing to do. We used to call this show So You Think You're Awake. I often miss that name. But so here, going to sleep is the opposite. So it's like if you go the Reiki path, and she does know how to do Reiki and she does it on people, this dream is saying, that's not for you. That path isn't for you. It's not knocking Reiki. It's knocking it for her. So she's not to use that. She is a healer, but she's not to use Reiki. And I love how dreams can be very specific like this. And then the next part is going through a four-way stop. And she says legally. So this is telling her that she needs to slow down. That everybody needs to stop and rest at some point in their lives. And that's what the four-way stop is. Everybody's got to stop. And it's a legal requirement. It's a karmic law, let's say, because it's a legal requirement. So she has to do that. So she's pushing herself too hard and not getting the results that she really wants. And she's like, well, am I really pushing myself? But she's been trying to solve this problem for a very, very long time. And anyway, now she finally has an understanding of where it comes from. And I'd say in no time at all, she's going to have it resolved with Ellen. It was also interesting. I checked her because it was in person, and I checked to see, and she was infiltrated, and I cleared her, and then I checked again, as you always would do, and I could see that the infiltration was coming back. So I cleared her again, and then it was coming back again. So when I channeled on it, they said that she gave permission for this other spirit that was inhabiting her body. She gave permission to that spirit to be there. And this often happens us in childhood when we feel there's nobody there. We hit a point where we're articulate. We understand the world a little bit. And we realize there's nobody there for me, that I'm on my own. And I know that dad is there because children are way smarter than adults give credit for. I know dad's there, but I know he's useless. So I know I'm not going to get anything from him. And that's really her big issue. And, when it comes to being a man, he's not being the man that I need. And so she asked at one point, if there's anybody there that can help me, I'm willing to accept your help. Now, you have to be a channel. You already have to be a channel for this to be a problem. And so what happens is there's lots of negative spirits around when you're in a negative space. And she was in a negative space. And a spirit offers, hey, if you let me in, I can help you. Of course, they're not going to help you at all. All they want to do is feed off you. And so she let this spirit in. That was what I was clearing. It didn't want to go because she had given it permission to be there. So it's basically like, you can't evict me because I've more permission to be here than you have permission to kick me out. So I talked to her and I told her how to tear up that permission slip she'd given it, and then removed it again, and then it stayed gone. And so that alone is going to really change her life, because these spirits or entities, they need you to stay in a negative downward space. They really want you down because that's the only space they can operate in. That's their world. And if you move into a higher vibrational state, then you're out of their league and they can't get anything from you at all. So they do things to keep you down. And now remember, her issue, of course, is realizing that there is somebody there for her. That's what she has to heal, that there is somebody there for her. The world isn't a bad place. There is somebody there for me. Am I skipping any parts here? Yeah.
No, not yet.
Yeah. So I channeled anyway. She said, look, there's a couple of things I'm learning to do right now. One is learning to do body talk with Ellen. Should I continue doing that? And her guide said, yes, absolutely. So you can see why they said no to Reiki, yes to body talk. I don't even know what body talk is. But we all have our own paths, and we're all meant to go our own particular path. And there was another thing she was also learning to do in the direction of being a shaman, but not quite that. And they were okay with that too. But they were okay with that because that modality was going to teach her how to use the world, let's say, or energy in the world to help herself. So basically, it was going to be a slow path to healing herself, realizing that it's not that there's nothing there. There is everything I need is there. So let's move on anyway.
All righty. That was very good. Then Molly and I were coming back from what felt like a school, and there was 2 sets of stairs side by side. I went up one on the right, which was nearest to me. It had coats piled on it. There was a teal coat and some black coats. I was walking on them and kind of sinking down in them because they were down coats.
All right. So this is about depression. Our dreamer's in her 60s, let's say. So this has been an issue for all of her life. And this is what's sad. This won't be her first dream that's telling her what her problem is and what the solution is. And like I said, she's been doing it for a long time, and she's starting to make progress. But I can't imagine carrying such a big issue all the way through and not getting the help. But realize we create our world. Her belief is that I can't meet the person who's going to help me. Like, that's her belief. And she's proven it to herself for the last 60 years. So you want to get these belief systems that you have, and you want to knock them on their head, because they do nothing for you except set a very low ceiling on the joy that you can have in your life. So anyway, what about this piece? The 2 sets of stairs. So this tells us she's a channel. There's also some digestive system stuff here, but she's a channel because of the 2, and the stairs go up. You know, she's not at the top of the stairs wanting to come down. So it's about channeling, getting up to the spirit world. And she has that communication ability. And I already knew that I had channeled on it because that's how she got the spirit. You have to be a channel in order for them to get into. But lots of people are channels. So a majority of people are channels, I think. But you need to know how it works for you. But that's a show for another day. But the way she tries to activate her spiritual side, let's say, which is what this going up the stairs is about, is going up on top of the steps that have coats piled up on them. Now, that doesn't even sound safe. And so coats are about protection. So it's like she goes through life protecting herself. And then that's understandable because she's afraid of life. Like she said that even if she's walking down the street, she would be afraid that a car would pull up beside her and somebody would jump out and grab her and pull her into the car. Can you imagine that that's your way of going through life? Anyway, so she has these fears, so she protects herself, and that's what the coats represent. So it's like, I'm afraid as I try to develop my spiritual side, I'm also afraid. And one of them was a teal coat, and I asked her, was it a dark teal color? And she said, yes, it was. So that's about, teal is a mix of blue and green. And so it's about expressing yourself. Green is the color for the heart chakra. Blue is about your philosophy of life. So it's about expressing yourself as you develop spiritually. But the black color added to it, to darken it, means that she has fears of doing that. So she does have issues with mom. Clearly she has issues with mom, but the dad issues trump it. And so she has to fix those first. And that's the protection piece that she's like, wants to protect herself from around the world, from everything in the world. So it's like, if I can control everything, and I've said this on the show many times, but if I can control everything, then I can create a safe space for myself. It's completely understandable how Bella, because of her experiences in life, would need to do that in order to feel safe. Everybody else around her will be annoyed that she wants to control them and control everything. But it's understandable. If you really see where her pain comes from the child, it's the child within her is doing all the controlling. It's the child that is scared. And that's where the healing needs to take place. She also says that as she was walking on this coats, she was sinking down because they were down coats. So we know that depression has been part of her world, which is not good. And, even this way, where she's saying she's trying to activate her spiritual side, well, symbolically trying to activate it, but it's getting her more down. Like, that's terrible. What's the next piece?
Wow, that's really sad. And so the down coats is what's pulling her down? Is that
her life is what's pulling her down, but she's definitely been depressed. And it's interesting too, because she said earlier that she met Ellen because her son has mental issues. And so she doesn't believe there's anybody there for her. And this is how the universe works. So then she ends up with a son, and he's in his 30s, and he doesn't drink or do drugs or anything like that, but he is the same way. He almost wishes he wasn't on the planet, right? That's his view, that it's absolute misery here and nobody can help him. And when you are the type that's like that, like we pass on to our kids with the way we are, but when you're the type that's like that, if your child ends up the same way, it's okay for you to sit in misery and say the world is a horrible place. We are not going to do that for our kids. So she's motivated to get help for her son. And it's the exact same issue that she has. And I always say this on the show too, whatever we are trying to save somebody else from is the trauma that we've actually experienced as well. So vicariously, by helping her son, she is helping herself. But really, what we need to do is turn the lens inside and look inside and say, okay, I need to heal this within me. Then I'm going to be stronger for my son. But anyway, just interesting how everything around her is there to show her that even for her son, she's not going to accept that nobody can help him, but she'll accept that nobody can help her.
Wow, that is incredible. I am very thankful for her son then. Okay, back to the dream. I thought to myself, what was I thinking? And I turned around and went back. And as I came down, Nikki pointed behind her and said, there's some of the security detail. And I said out loud to myself, I am the security detail.
All right. So I said she feels like she has to control everything in order to make the world safe. And this is it in spades in the dream. The security detail. She always has her guard up and she is detailed about everything that she wants to control. And even saying in the dream, I am the security detail. Now, that's a lot of energy to be spending in your life. For fear, to address fears about things that are never going to happen. And even if some of those things that she was afraid of would happen, if she's worried about 200 things and 2 of them happen, it's an awful lot of wasted energy and it's holding her back from developing herself in all sorts of other magnificent ways because of all of these fears. So we want to get to the point where we don't feel the world is a dangerous place or don't believe it. Feelings follow the belief. But so we want to get to the point where we don't believe that the world is a dangerous place. And when we don't believe it's a dangerous place, guess what? It isn't a dangerous place because you can't create a world that you don't believe in. Let's move.
Well, wow, that was intense. All righty. And then I walked up the stairs on the left. They were actually more of a ramp and joined Molly. And we walked all the way to the top and there was a lot of people up there. The floor we were on looked an awful lot like in an airport. It was a large open space with tables around the exterior and 2 large openings so people could come in from all directions and had glass windows all the way around so it was brightly lit.
So this is
I like this one.
This is really good. It's very positive because it's the opposite of being down. It's the opposite of darkness and depression. It's a really bright lit upstairs. So that's like my brain is switched on, my mind is switched on, and everything's bright now. It's lovely. So I really like this. This is where she's going to get to, without question, because dreams don't lure you into anything. They show you where you're heading and what you're going to achieve. And so this is something she's going to achieve. Again, it's the 2 stairs. She goes up the left side. So working on the past is going to help her get to this place where everything opens up for her. Her channeling ability opens up. And we see she says there's 2 large openings so people could come in from all directions. So she's going to be really a good channel at the end of all of this. And she also has a strong intuition because we have the glass windows all the way around that are brightly lit and so on. So very, very positive. I really like it. Airports, of course, it's a good symbol. And we've seen it before on the show to represent channeling in the past. But it also, I think the last time I showed this on the show where it was about channeling, it was also about infiltrators or warning the dreamer that you're leaving yourself open to infiltrators just landing in from anywhere. And so we have the same symbol here, but shown in a positive way because the same airport that lets infiltrators in is the airport that is going to let you connect with anybody you want, make the connections you want. And it's just fantastic. Like I call on Archangel Michael or Archangel, whoever I want. I'm not saying what she's going to do. And they can come in because I have this amazing connection ability. So that's it. We've run out of time with just the one dream.
I was afraid.
Sandy said we would.
Yep.
But okay, a great dream. Really like it. I like how it ends with the brightly lit airport and all that. That's fantastic. What have we got going on? We have our mentorship program starts next week. That's really good. Very excited about that.
There's still time though, right? To sign up
Yeah.
if you'd like.
Yeah, November 6th. Yeah, if you're interested, we'll put a link under here. You can contact me to talk about it. We do also have other courses where we teach people how to channel and we help people overcome the issues like Bella's issues in this dream. And that one starts actually on Saturday coming, 29th of October. If you're interested in that too, you can contact us to talk about it. But that's it.
Oh, and the channeling, you didn't say when that one was going to start.
Yeah, November 20th.
Okay, thanks.
All right. So that's not advertised anywhere. So you're just hearing it on the radio show. Nobody else has heard about it. Unless they've been talking to me in person. Because that's how I market and sell. Yeah, terrible. All right. See you next week. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.